This is not going public, is it?
Welcome to La Casita Martinez, where we indulge in the art of deep conversation and vulnerability in pursuit of self-love, self-expression, and self-value. I am your host, Samantha Martinez. On this week's episode, we sit down with Naiset, a young Latina who attends Dartmouth University, pursuing her dream of helping her community prosper and excel. Hi, Naiset.
Hi.
Welcome to La Casita Martinez.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I thought about scheduling you, but I was like, your school schedule's all over the place. I'm so happy we were able to work it out. So when I think of you, I think you just bring me hope for the future, which is obviously in the midst of everything that's happening right now. Our world is crazy. And I feel like I'm so thankful that I was able to cross paths with you because you are our future. And if your future is bright, our future is bright. So I'm so happy that, first of all, that I got to meet you and that we've been able to build a relationship. So you are a student from Easton, Maryland, and a daughter of immigrants. You are Latina. Can you tell us, from your point of view, who is Naiset?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Naiset. Like you said, I've grown up my whole life here on the Eastern Shore. Mm-hmm. I went through public schooling from kindergarten through 12th grade. Yeah. And my parents are from Guatemala, which I think has formed a great part of my identity and a great part of just like a sense of what I want to do or what I'm fighting for, I guess, in the future as well. I am now a college student, first generation, low income. And I'm at a predominantly white institution, like many institutions here in the U.S., which can obviously be a very daunting and scary space to be in. But I'm very proud of where I am at the moment in my life. I never thought I was going to make it to college. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And you are very humble, but if I can brag on you a little, you are on a full ride at Dartmouth, which is a very exclusive school. So I remember the day when you called and told me that you got in, and I was so happy. But at the same time, we had those conversations that, just getting in is just one part of the journey, right? And so it's being there, it's being on campus, and like you said, predominantly white. So not seeing yourself, around with your friends or the majority of the students that are there. Was that a huge culture shock when you got there? Like, how did you prepare for that? What are you doing currently to kind of navigate that?
Yeah, so I guess not so much of a culture shock, just because
that's true. Yeah,
the Eastern Shore is a predominantly white area, so I was kind of used to that, and I was kind of used to my classmates also being predominantly white, and also my teachers and whatnot also being white identifying people. But at the same time, I think it was still a bit scary, obviously, because now it's like, not only are they white, but they're also like very wealthy people who come from like these very, very different backgrounds, obviously. And so I think one of the things that really helped me was just like talking to you and getting to know people who have actually gone through college and higher education and gone through it successfully, I would say, in my point of view, just because I didn't know anyone who had ever gone to college or anything like that. And actually, prior to starting college, I attended the first year summer enrichment program, which is designated for first generation low income students at Dartmouth. Nice. And I think that really helped me prepare in terms of like academics, or just trying to get into the habit of like what college life was going to be like at Dartmouth. And so currently I'm just trying to create spaces for people who are like myself on campus, just because obviously we are a growing demographic here in the U.S. And I think people need to be more aware of who we are and where we're coming from. Yeah.
Which is also important for you to understand and acknowledge that you do belong there, right? You weren't just placed there as an experiment, right? To see what happens, but like you worked to be there. And so understanding that and making space for others is so important, which is so powerful too, because it has to be hard to not only be navigating actively spaces like that for yourself, but then also on top of that to create space for other people. Like that's very powerful on your end. So that's inspiring. And I think about Latinas, that we are the smallest subgroup to achieve or to obtain higher education. Is that something that you keep in the back of your head often?
Yeah. I always go back. Sometimes, I don't know why, but I always go back to like my college application essays. I guess just to like reground myself and remember as to like why I was there. Yeah. And I remember you like telling me about the research that there was on like us Latinas in higher education and just being the smallest subgroup to like really even make it out of high school.
Right. Yeah. Which even to graduate.
Yeah. To even graduate high school is like just a huge barrier for us. And I guess just always going back to and like looking at that really helps to like recenter and reground myself as to like why I'm here. Because sometimes it can get so hard. Every term is like a 10-week term. So everything goes by really quickly. So sometimes I just have to like reground myself and remember like why I'm here.
Yeah. And I can just imagine the people that like are in your classes. The people that you socialize with are probably like very influential people, or people whose parents have been, legacy kids, whose parents have been their grandparents. That's a lot, to kind of sit with and be like, okay, I do belong here. I worked hard to be here, and I need to create space for other people. And I think about also your two nieces who look up to you, and now like college is a reality. Like they are going to college because their Thea goes, right? Do you have conversations with them about that? Do they ask? I mean, the little one's very little. Yeah. But thinking about Jimena, like, does she ask questions?
Yeah, sometimes she's like, yeah, I want to go to college. But then also seeing me go away, she's like, I don't know. I think that's kind of scary for her because she's only 6 years old. Right. So I mean, I didn't even think I was gonna like at that age. I was like, college seems like something that's not really something that seems like so far away. Yeah, I guess not attainable, really. Yeah. I knew I always liked school. I've always loved reading. I've loved learning. I'm really curious about a lot of topics, but I never knew how I was going to make it there. I never really had much guidance, but thanks to people like you, I made it.
Yeah. That's so exciting. And you're so much better. I mean, you're at Dartmouth. That's really exciting. I never thought that. And even that beyond that, like you're even having conversations about like post undergrad, right? And what you're going to do. Can you talk a little bit about like what inspires you, what influences you to continue to go through this journey, and even when it's hard, like what are your influences, inspirations that keeps you going?
Yeah, I guess my parents and my background, we come from a very humble background. My parents immigrated to the United States from a very young age. And I always think about how they migrated here because of structural issues that are beyond their control. Right. And I always think about how, okay, yeah, college isn't a guarantee to success or anything, but I'm in a unique position where I may be able to do something with a college degree. So I guess maybe just trying to either, I don't know, I see like trying to fix something in the system. Yeah. Even though some days it seems so hard. I always think back about like my parents. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, I agree. It feels like what we're doing even gonna change anything, right? It seems like so overwhelming, but just having you, and for like my younger daughters, your nieces, to see someone right as an inspiration, even that makes an impact on certain people. If you feel comfortable, can you tell us like what your dreams are, what your aspirations, what you're trying to work towards in college?
Yeah. So right now I currently declared my major this past term. I declared a geography major modified with Latino studies. I really like geography because it's such an interdisciplinary study. So I get to study like migration, politics, our current environmental crisis, and how these all intersect together, really.
Right.
And so I really like that aspect. But post-grad, I think I want to go to law school. I'm not completely sure yet, but it's always been a dream of mine. I don't know many lawyers still.
Yeah.
So it's
and
also,
Latina lawyers.
Yeah,
at
Latina
that.
lawyers. Yeah. So I think that also still seems not that attainable at the moment.
But you can do it.
But yeah, I'm hopeful that maybe I can.
Definitely, for sure. That's crazy. And what kind of introduced you to that interest of law?
Well, I guess just seeing a lot of people, my parents, and just a lot of close relatives having an undocumented status and what that means here in the U.S., specifically here on the Eastern Shore. Like I've said before, we live in a predominantly white area. There are not many resources available for people that come from our background. I guess just seeing the fact that getting a good lawyer, you have to go like across a bridge to even like access that. And I would like to make it more accessible to people with a similar background to mine.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So your lived experience, it sounds like, is really what's like driving you, which is so important because that's like authentic, right? And people are going to feel that. Like you're not an outsider that's coming in and giving your perspective. It's like you lived this and you want to help people like you. Yeah. That's so special. Awesome. So when you're in college or even when you're not on campus, like what is it that you do to remind yourself? You mentioned your parents, but is there any like practices or any like meditation or going for walks, anything that you do that's like practical that allows you to like recenter yourself and that brings you joy and like empowerment?
Yeah, I've been journaling a lot.
Nice.
I remember ever since I was little, I like to keep like some sort of
Me too.
diary.
Yeah, I have a million notebooks that I would just write random stuff.
And I don't know where the ones that I kept from when I was smaller are at, but I've been journaling a lot, and I like to like look back at what I've been feeling. And I think just writing down what I'm feeling helps a lot. And even going on walks, just because I'm surrounded by a lot of like nature can be very
I'm sure the campus is beautiful.
Right? In the fall, not in the winter.
Nice. And when we think about, I mean, we have similar backgrounds as we're Latinas, first generation. Mental health is very stigmatized, right? And then being in college, I'm sure like exacerbates that, being away from your family, being the first, being just in an unknown space. Is there anything that you feel like helps with that? Just like with understanding that it's okay to sometimes feel low or lonely or overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think always talking to a lot of my friends helps, just because we all share similar experiences. We're all Latinas, we're all first generation and low income. So I guess just getting together and like even having a meal together is just really helps to recenter us all and remember like why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. Obviously, all of our circumstances are differently, but we do share a very similar background, which does help too.
So you've created community there. You feel like good. That's really important. And then when you say that you create space, can you tell us a little bit about that? What are you doing on campus to create space for others like you?
I'm currently working with a group called the Fuerza Farm Workers Fund, and that has allowed me to connect more with farm workers who work in the Upper Valley. A lot of them come from Mexico, but I think we've still created a strong community where we give them, try to give them clothes for the winter. We organize winter clothes drives. We do a lot of fundraisers, and a lot of our funds go back to a lot of the farm workers. And we have just created a community with the Latino population in the Upper Valley. And another way I've created space recently is through the creation of the Central Americans United Student Association.
You created that.
Yeah, I helped co-found this year. And it's been really hard just because sometimes Dartmouth isn't the most welcoming space, obviously, but I think we've created a solid group of people who feel very invited. This past term, we hosted a pupusa night at the...
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Who made them?
So it was just basically like you make your own.
That's so cool.
I made the masa, someone else made the beans, someone else... we got the cheese.
Yeah.
And then you basically made your own. It was just like how to make a pupusa, little assembly line type thing. Yeah, and we had a lot of people over and just things like that, even in a space where you may feel like not welcomed really helps, especially because like getting authentic food in Hanover, New Hampshire is really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We got a lot of people and it was really successful.
Yeah. So you're creating space, but you're also making space, like taking up space. Yeah. Right. That's so amazing. And I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do, right? There are people who have never heard of that, or you feel like there's only a few of you doing that, but it's like a little piece of home of your culture that you're bringing with you, which is so important. That's amazing. What's one thing that you love most about your culture?
One thing I love the most about my culture, I guess it's people and the work ethic that just comes from being, I guess, just Central American as a whole. I think everyone's pretty hardworking and it shows.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's something that you love most about yourself?
Oh, I would say I'm pretty determined.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty determined. And that's the thing I love the most about myself. Because even when things get hard, I always try to reground myself and remember why I am in the spaces I am. And creating space for people like myself is really important.
Awesome. What has been the hardest thing of this transition of moving away from your family, leaving your hometown and going to an elite school?
I guess just trying to, kind of getting some sort of gaining confidence. I think I am not always the most confident person. And I guess realizing that, yes, my opinions and my thoughts are valid on campus. And I think a lot of professors have reminded me and been very helpful in kind of guiding me through that because I can be kind of quiet sometimes, especially throughout high school. Like I was saying, I used to be very quiet, or I used to have a lot of thoughts, but I just like would hold myself back and just let other people talk. But I think it's been really hard to try to get out there and like speak my truth really. But I could say I've gained some confidence, and it's been really hard to do so, but yeah.
But how does it feel when you do?
It feels really nice because a lot of professors are often very validating of what I have to say. So it feels like my opinions are being validating.
That's important.
And validated. Yeah,
good. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Well, you are an inspiration, and I wanted to share your story on this platform because ever since I met you, I was like, this girl is going to do something incredible. So I'm so happy you came on. I'm so happy that our paths crossed, like I said, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.